Okay, let's talk about inverse ETFs and ETFs because, you know, one of the first questions you might ask yourself is that what am I supposed to day trade? Now, one of the mistakes that you can make, I'm going to talk about this actually later on, okay? Especially when it comes to your trading style and also, what you should trade. But usually the best things to trade, day trade, are ETFs and inverse ETFs. ETFs are essentially asset that includes a lot of stocks in it, right? So that's called an ETF. And inverse ETFs are essentially ETFs that track the reverse of something, okay? That would be the market, for example. So I'm going to show you an example. This is what I trade. Again, we're going to get into the trading style later on and also like things that you should and should not trade. But this is what I personally day trade. It's TQQQ and SQQQ. So, for example, let me actually open this. The QQQ is a fund, an ETF that tracks NASDAQ market. So mainly tech, but some other stuff included as well. So this is something that tracks the NASDAQ market. Take a look. We got the, we just, today is, for example, a green day. So everything's going up, looking great, right? All that stuff. This is QQQ, right? Now, the next one is TQQQ. Now, TQQQ is actually, or TQQQ as I call it, is actually a leveraged ETF. Now, this means that, for example, if NASDAQ or QQQ moves 1%, this is going to move 3%. So it's a leveraged ETF, means that it's going to be more heavy toward one side. So now you got to be careful with leveraged ETFs, okay? Because they can actually make you money and they can lose you a lot of money too. So again, you're 3x leverage, that means 3x loss or wins. So keep that in mind. This is what I trade because it gives you a lot more wiggle up and down. So it's a really nice, like it gives you enough movement, right? Because the QQQ itself is not moving enough every day. So this is what I trade, TQQQ and also SQQQ. Now SQQQ actually tracks the reverse of the market. So as you see, when the TQQ goes up, right, like this on a day, right, we have this green, then we got SQQQ actually going down. So these are ETFs and inverse ETFs, guys. Take a look. So you see it goes down. So these are inverse ETFs and ETFs. We're going to get into it more. I just want you to understand there's a lot of them. There's a whole list. I'm going to leave a link for you guys below this video. You can like see it. There's a whole list of ETFs and inverse ETFs and leverage ETFs. And there is an ETF for everything. There's an ETF for oil. There's ETF for gas, natural gas. There's an ETF for, farming, something like that. There's so much ETFs for a lot of different things which you can actually, trade. That you just have to choose which ones you want to trade. All right. Since we're on the subjects of ETFs, I want to talk about something very important. Now, this is something that comes from my years of experience in day trading, and I want to share it with you because it is incredibly important to your success. Okay, now we talked about ETFs, and one of the things I want to talk about here is that I strongly recommend you to understand what you're trading. So I know traders, friends that I have, who trade a certain stock and they've been doing it for many years and they're making so much money and they never trade something else. These are successful traders, and these are people who don't trade anything else but one or two stocks or ETFs. For example, I have a friend who trades Apple only Apple, okay? And he's been doing it for about 6 years now, 5-6 years. And he's been doing very well. And the reason he's been doing very well, in his opinion, is that he just trades one stock that he understands very well. And that's what you got to do. You got to trade a stock or ETF that you understand very well. You're comfortable with it. You know the industry at least a little bit, or at least you researched about it a lot. So, like for example, in my case, I do SQQQ and TQQQ because it's tech and I understand it very well. I have a background in it. And like I've researched a lot. I know what moves it, what doesn't move it, all that stuff. Understand what's inside of it. And another thing with ETFs is that when you actually research an ETF and you choose which ones you want to go for, you can actually see what is inside those ETFs. For example, the QQQ and TQQQ and SQQQ, the biggest one in it is actually Apple. because it just includes a lot of tech companies, right? So Apple is a big portion of it. For example, when there's an earning for Apple, or like something happens to Apple stock moves up and down, it actually affects these stocks, or Facebook, or like, Meta, or like other tech companies, Google, So these are a big portion of the TQQQ and SQQQ. So keep that in mind, guys. The point I'm trying to make is that when you trade, I want you to remember, you need to understand what you're trading. You need to understand what you're doing, what is it that you're buying and selling, and you need to understand what moves it and what doesn't move it. So it's really, really important to research your ETF, see what's inside of it, use that page that I sent you. It gives you some information, and you can also Google what's inside ETF, whatever your ETF name is. So you can see what is inside and what moves it and what doesn't move it. For example, I know two people who do gas, like gas ETFs, UPRO, and one of the things that they do is that they always have their line on like new reports when it comes to natural gas and all stuff like that, the natural gas reserves and stuff like that. So again, you got to understand it, and you want to make sure that you know what moves and what doesn't move it. So I just want to point that out before we move forward to some other stuff that I'd like to point out before we get into, again, more technical and more mental side, psychological side of things, which is very, very important. All right, guys. So thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.